So is it what you reckon, like?
There's 1A.
1A and 12 Bs for salsa. Or not salsa, orange juice. 1 and 12. Okay. You can just leave them in the stack there.
Pecans, 3 A's, 10 B's.
I got 4 A's and 8 B's.
And 8.
8 or should it be 9? Should add up to 13. Did somebody not taste honey or vote for honey?
I don't know. Maybe I counted it wrong. You can put another one on B.
What's the difference between 8 and 9, right? Anybody count jam?
I can.
Bailey's got it.
6 for B and 7 for
Oh.
For salsa, there's 6 for A and 7 for B.
Oh, that's where the most split. So, I've placed around the 2 products that we have for each food type. Before I reveal which is A, which is B, now what I would like for you to do, you're going to want to take a piece of paper with you in your partner group. I want y'all to go around and I want you to look at the labels, the bottling of each of these. And what I want you to pay specific attention to is the language that's used on the labels. What does it say? What is it trying to market to you? Who does it say it's distributed by? Where is it from? That kind of thing. Notice if there's any similarities, differences, just things that you're like, oh, that's interesting information they put there for the consumer. So you want to make a note of what some of those things are. And then I want you to decide, based off of what you now see, which one would you purchase? So now that you kind of know what your options are, you know where they're from, where it's distributed from, all that, which one would you buy? And you can just make a note of that on your paper. You don't have to vote again. All right? So spend some time going around one more time. One more loop. That is good old buy at the farmer's. Grandpa Bob's fine honey right there from Miami, Oklahoma.
100% raw. Really?
Yep.
I would buy it just for that. I think I like that one better.
You don't know which one's A or B though.
At least from your freezer.
They are.
Gluten free.
Isn't that interesting? It's my favorite marketing ever.
But it's premium. Premium.
The only reason I would pick this is the only
Both of them say no.
See, we do where I work in like over the summer where I work like on Christmas, they do a big like pecan order, and so a lot of my work is bagging 10 pounds of pecan for a family.
Yeah.
And I love putting them in the freezer. They're so good.
But they have up front and they just will take these and put them in a bag.
It's kind of like when you go to candy stores and you realize they're like selling Skittles, but they put them in the plastic container to scoop out. It's like, it's still Skittles.
So just GMO or gluten free.
Yeah. And again, pay attention to distribution. Where does it say it's from? Who's it distributed by? Does it tell you where the food came from or not?
Did you know Walmart now sells ice cream with Mustang? Ice cream with
What?
Yeah, I don't go to farmers. 100% juice. I like that it says farmer owned.
That's my friend Michael that I always talk about. That's Michael. He's always in my fridge.
Only with fruit juice.
It's only made with, it's got tequila in it.
Really?
That's neat.
I did not know that when I bought it.
Yeah, that's a.
You didn't notice that?
I didn't. I just thought it was like flavor.
That's why I said it was tequila.
Yeah, I just thought it was. There wasn't any like local made jam that wasn't some funky flavor.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, it's the closest to strawberry I
I could
can
throw some pepper jelly.
My mom was making jalapeno jam last night, and I was like, she's like, maybe I'll get some for Christmas, and I was like, maybe I'll get some for Thanksgiving. Like,
Yeah.
ship that out here now.
So I'm like, oh, I understand what you're doing, but also I'm not like stressed out.
I like that one because of the bear.
Don't they?
Best choice. That was Christina's salsa. Is that from like a Homeland? Homeland. It's like one of the generic brands. They sell two. One's Best Choice, and then another's like First Mark or something like that. I went for the cheaper option.
If there was a brand of Homeland, I would probably always buy the cheaper one.
Yeah. The bagged ones were free to me. They come from Chad's grandpa. So.
Where did the money come from?
Chad's grandpa.
Are you ready?
Barely one. Salsa, barely one. I'm so sorry. It's fine. I think they were all like predicting that it was gonna be.
Which one was the jam with the monkey on? So I'm allergic to tequila, and tequila's in it. So
Do you feel okay?
yeah, I'm okay right now. It'll probably hit me in a little while, but
Which one was?
She's cooked out though, because she's gonna have a cooked out
Yeah.
on it, so you should be okay.
well, I'm allergic to agave, which is in it, like the plant that like goes into it all. Okay, I didn't like that one. I don't know which one I like. I'll be okay. If
Are you-
I'm gonna go home, I'll go home.
Okay. If your throat starts swelling.
No, I just feel like I'm gonna pass out.
Okay.
Fall over, just sleep to me.
I didn't even know it was in it.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. I jokingly said to Chad yesterday too. I was like, I should do Oklahoma wine versus good wine, but you can't do that. And I still got something with alcohol in it. Dang it. Huh?
Shouldn't even told us you talk about that now. Should have done like.
We should do like a alcoholic
You
localized.
should have done like stilled leaf, first night.
It'll have to be a non-class.
That was a microbiology class like a semester ago. You could like make beer and wine like on campus.
Yeah.
I think that got canceled due to COVID though this year, but
I'm in the wine class right now.
Are you?
It's all like all in wine. It kind of sucks. You gotta buy it all yourself.
Yeah.
well, I mean, I guess it is university stuff with alcoholic things. They might get in trouble for that. Dang. My uncle used to make his own wine, and he used to always send like the extra like wine grapes.
What else does that say, Brian?
So good. What isn't it?
What else does that say?
I mean, it's got the American flag on it. What else could it?
Very patriotic. It's got 2 of them on there, actually.
Yeah.
3, 4 if you count back.
You know what is interesting though? So like 5 or 6 years ago, and they still kind of got it on the side, but they decided to put I remember when this happened with the co-op, when they decided to put the non-GMO project label on there. The board voted, and it was on the front, like on both sides, and members of the co-op flipped out, and so that's when they moved it to the ingredient side, and it's much smaller, but yet it still says not GMO on there. But they just don't make it like,
They're just happier that
it's like appeasing the co-op people while also getting the marketing benefits from it.
I wrote it down.
Fascinating.
I could do Photoshop for this and make me look skinnier. Honestly, I'm not understanding that right now.
I feel that on all things, even on Zoom. I'm like, what's the angle of this? Because I have a double chin.
Have to. I'll just.
They don't really try to tell us that.
It also doesn't have it in the name. They're both no pill, so that's good. Never from concentrate. Important.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. It would only matter to me. I cannot drink concentrated orange juice. That's why I don't get it in restaurants, because most of the time it's concentrated orange juice, and I'm like, ugh.
If you even ask them, do they even know half the time?
No, they have no idea. Like, usually it's Tropicana or Minute Maid, because it's either from Pepsi or Coca-Cola. So whoever they contract with is usually who provides. For real.
Brazil, I had their orange juice, like straight from the tree. It was crazy. It was the best thing I've ever had in my life.
There's nothing better than fresh. It's my favorite thing back home. But to go home, pick oranges, and then squeeze them right away.
It's probably just a name.
So good.
Do you know cons are gluten-free? If you didn't, we're back.
I don't even know what it is.
Do you notice the difference in like buying oranges at the store? Like, are they bigger down in Florida?
So you're hardly ever going to get fresh fruit that's from Florida outside of the state of Florida,
It's so
because
It's so dumb.
because of our climate, the fruit just doesn't look as pretty. And so people are more likely to buy it from either another country or from California, because it just doesn't look as diseased, even though the fruit's fine. But because of our climate, the bricks content or the sugar content of oranges is higher, which makes it that premium orange juice grade. So 95% of our oranges go to juice.
It's from USA.
And they're mostly
and
Valencia. Valencia oranges are what's used for orange juice, and then most other varieties are what you eat. Table fruit.
Find it, like, when you go driving down like a dirt road and find the oranges.
Oh, I could show you pictures. So like our property, on the side of the house front, orange groves, behind us, orange groves. I mean, and just because of development, they're picked in different places, but like, as a kid, we rode four-wheelers to the orange groves. We'd pick a plastic bag of oranges, bring it home, squeeze juice, and that's what we drank growing up. Can't really do that anymore now, though, because of canker and citrus greening. It spreads so bad. You can actually get a fine if you're caught in somebody's grove now, because like, that's one reason when we picked oranges before, people would use wooden ladders, but wood will hold a lot of disease. So it wasn't sanitary, so now they moved to metal because it's easier to sanitize. Because just anything, you could walk in an orange grove, get canker on your clothes, go to another grove, and it would spread it. So it's a pretty severe disease that we deal with. So, all right, based off of labeling, let's first talk about the pecans. You had an option between a store brand and then what I call farmer's market brand. Pick it up in a Ziploc bag. Which one, like what were some things y'all noticed on the label or labels for the
It
pecans?
says gluten-free.
Gluten-free, what's the issue with that?
There's no gluten.
What is gluten? Wheat, right? It's a protein that you find in wheat. Is there anything about wheat? Why do they put it on a bag?
To tell people, because people are afraid of gluten.
Yeah, if people are gluten-free, then they're like, I can buy this, I can eat it. What else did you notice about it?
Not just like the pecans and everything, but like all these other versions that are out of Kansas City, like all the best choice and everything. And then even on the honey, like always there.
Yeah, so they were distributed. It's like a wholesale grocers, right? How many miles is Kansas City from here?
Probably less than 400.
Somebody look up Google real quick. What's the exact number of miles? Stillwater to Kansas City.
317.
317. So it's interesting, for purposes of this class, I'm considering them retail instead of local. But would they fit under our definition of local?
Yeah.
But if something's distributed, now we're going to go, do we really know where these pecans came from?
USA and Mexico.
USA and Mexico. So how does that work in the supply chain? How do they end up in Kansas City?
They're shipped
Packaging.
Yeah, farms all over in the United States and Mexico. They go to a processing facility where they're cleaned and shelled and all that stuff, put on a truck, sent to another distribution warehouse that they end up in the warehouse of this wholesale grocer in Kansas City, who then distributes them to grocery stores. So hopefully this is going to help y'all while you're thinking about your supply chain project of how do things get where they are. It's not just straight from the farm to a distributor. There's usually several people along the way. So interesting. We're going to say, just keep that nugget in your head. Wholesale grocers out of Kansas City is within that 400 miles. Would y'all consider that local, though, if it's distributed by someone? No. Okay. As a class, no.
The difference in colors.
Oh, what'd you notice about colors?
Everything is like different. So like if you even look at the salsa, like I know the best choice, like I chose that as like not being local and everything. But like everything, even the honey too. If you notice like the different colors, like one will be darker and then one will be like lighter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Homegrown ones are bigger.
Okay. Homegrown ones are bigger. Which pecans did y'all say you would buy? This one? Anybody say this one?
Pretty sure I picked that one just because the consistency is a little bit harder and I like hardness and nuts.
I feel like I got a sweeter taste out of those two,
Oh, well, how do you know that's what you got?
because I can see the color.
Oh, you remember?
Mhm.
You must have a good memory. I wouldn't remember something like that. But we'll find out, right? Let's just say as a whole, most people in the class, I'm going to say here that based on, I'm going to call this C. So as far as what you saw, for the pecans, y'all said you would go with the more local option. Okay, what about honey? Things you noticed about honey on the label.
I also like the label. I like the bear.
You like the bear, you like the packaging of it, right? There is some ease, let me tell you, into getting honey out of a bear versus that jar. I made a hot mess in here earlier, just dipping out honey out of the other. Absolutely. So sometimes do we buy things based off of the packaging itself? Sure. They fall under the same thing of being distributed by wholesale grocers. Anything else you noticed on the label?
The bear is 100% grade A.
100% grade A, what does that mean? U.S. grade A honey.
It's the best.
Gotta be the best, right? Do you have any idea how they grade honey?
No.
No, but if it says grade A, what do you think?
That's a pretty good grade.
That's gotta be good. That's gotta be the best, right? Do we know where this honey comes from, though?
Like everywhere.
All it says is true source certified.
On the back, it says like Brazil, U.S., Uruguay, Mexico.
Yeah. Like if you look at the actual, like this is what we call the traceability code. It says that it's a product of U.S., Argentina, Brazil, India, Ukraine, and Uruguay. All together in one little bottle. How they do that? I feel like that's what a little would ask. How do they do that? So this is worldly honey. This will make you very cultured. This is from Grandpa Bob's backyard in Miami, Oklahoma. I'm not kidding. I have another jar 3 times the size of this at home too, and I'm like, who eats this much honey?
The other thing is when you
But-
see mason jars in stores, people that are like local boys see mason jars and they think it's like, hey, even if it's got a package on it, like, or a sticker on it.
This might be cultural, but this is crafty, right?
From mason jar. It might take me a couple months, but I can use that mason jar.
Right? So which one did y'all say you're more likely to buy?
Mason
The-
jar.
Mason jars, I mean.
Raise your hand if you said mason jar.
I really like the bear.
8. Oh. We got an 8-4 split on the honey. 8 for the bear. Yeah, I kind of write it there under C.
Just write the bear or?
8 for bear. Yeah, that's how we'll know what it is. Yeah, and then we had 4. Someone didn't vote, but 4 for. Yeah, for Grandpa. He's on his deathbed. He's going to be really disappointed. It has gotten blue ribbon at the Ottawa County Fair every year for the past 10 years. Huh? Bob Klein. He's known in town. I'm telling you. I'm proud to be his granddaughter-in-law. Jam. Okay. What difference or special things did y'all notice here?
These 2 were from like Mustang. Like if you read on the deal, Mustang, and then the other ones were from Kansas City.
Will you write down Mustang? How far is Mustang from here?
2.5, 3 hours.
2.5, 3 hours?
Mustang is?
Yeah, isn't it?
I don't think
Like
it's
an hour and a
like, it's in
half.
like the metroplex.
Yeah.
It's an hour and a half.
How many miles?
45 maybe.
60, probably good.
I'll look it up.
How many?
80. Okay. Anything in particular you picked up on, other than this one had tequila in it unintentionally? Sorry.
Targeting students.
Y'all, there's so many things. Those little paper cups, when I went to buy them at Homeland yesterday, it was like Jell-O shot cups. And I was like, that's how you know you live in a college town. I'm like, can't these just be like mouthwash cups? But no, Jell-O shot cups.
Like, those deteriorated with the salsa in them.
Yeah. So, monkey jelly. Did y'all write anything specific about these?
It just looks homey. Like,
Homie?
yeah, like somebody in their back kitchen mudroom came up with that logo.
They did not work with an ag comm student. Ag comm students, what would you do different about this
One
logo?
more thing. The coloring, the red and the white and the red, white,
it has
and yellow
apples in it,
just
too.
doesn't
Mhm.
eye pop. It doesn't have the eye pop.
Yeah. Do y'all ever, so this is supposed to be strawberry margarita, and it's got apples, orange juice, and lemon juice. Do y'all ever look at stuff like that and see if the flavor actually matches the ingredients put in things? There's always usually something else added. It's very interesting how that works. Here it says, this one is a little bit different. So it says it's, instead of being distributed, it says it's manufactured by S&S Foods out of Mustang for Red Oak, but they don't tell us what Red Oak is, out of Norman. Any questions about this product? So this one, if you go to Homeland, which is where I went,
Where is Homeland?
over by TJ Maxx,
Oh.
used to be
Okay.
Food Pyramid. They have a whole little, by the produce, they have a whole little like aisle that says made in Oklahoma products. So this is a verified, I don't know why they don't put it on their label. Most have like the little emblem, but it's a made in Oklahoma product. Anything you would question by it saying it's just manufactured in Mustang.
Are the strawberries actually grown in Oklahoma?
And the apples and the tequila, like, are all the ingredients made in Oklahoma?
What justifies local?
100 miles.
Made in Oklahoma. Is it that it's made or grown? Made. Okay.
Yeah, they should have bought their ingredients from the grocery store.
Their strawberries could be from Mexico, right? Isn't that interesting? Just a thought. This polliner all fruit, so it's known for not having a ton of stuff added to it. They don't add extra sugar or anything like that to it. Non-GMO, verified, so that's something a little bit different. The other didn't have it, so glad to know there's not wheat in this one too. Crazy. It's out of Parsippany, New Jersey. I like the name of that town, Parsippany. So obviously not local, but it does have, again, another thing, no artificial colors or flavors. Do y'all think this is natural color?
I would say so.
It's a lot darker, so I felt like,
Mm-hmm. But they do put preservatives in here. They at least add that. So there is preservatives in this local. And again, we kind of sometimes assume local foods don't have as much preservatives in them. There. Salsa. What did y'all notice about our salsa over here? Huh? Oh, yes. Which jam would you want? Do you want the local strawberry margarita or just the regular strawberry? You voted for strawberry margarita. Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I like how it also says it's a jam and the other one just says it's a fruit spread.
Oh, okay. So to you, that kind of makes a difference. So we got 6 for local. That would give us 7. Yeah, that's about split. For, yeah, Jersey. All right, salsa. What did y'all pick up about the labeling of these two salsas?
Oh, like, is that A and J?
A and J. It's hard to read.
Yeah, it took me a second.
Another bad label. Again. But what did you like about this labeling?
it's made in Oklahoma.
Made it so they put the label on there. It's kind of, you don't notice it at first, but it does say made in Oklahoma.
The label is very dark.
Uh-huh.
Like, compared, and I think of like other salsas, like they're very bright and like, bright. And that's just like a lot of black.
Yeah.
Not that I'm complaining, but a lot of black.
Same calories and sugars in both of them.
So same as far as nutritional information, yeah. Where's this from? So it's made especially for, what is that? That's an interesting choice of words. Made especially for A&J Salsa out of Chickasha. And then it's distributed by S&S Foods out of Mustang. So Chickasha is a little bit further south, but made especially for, how do y'all interpret that?
Like maybe the tomatoes or like most of the ingredients are made there.
I would
Grown
say
there,
it's
not
processed. There.
Yeah, it's a processed made there. We got tomatoes, jalapenos, onions, bell peppers, vinegar, salt, cayenne, onion powder, chili powder, ghost pepper, ooh, and canola oil. Huh? I know, that's what I'm like. I'm surprised there's ghost pepper. But does it say that those things, ingredients are all from Oklahoma? No. So we're back to that thing of made in.
I want to taste like paste.
Like paste?
Paste, like the coffee sauce, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything you noticed about this one, the marketing or the label?
It said warm salsa instead of like medium or mild.
Yeah. Yeah. So warm versus mild, medium. That's always hard to me. It's like, how do you really know what the spiciness level is? I don't know. This one's distributed to out of Kansas City, like y'all said, packed in the USA. So we've seen some different terms here. We've seen made in, made for, distributed by, packed in. So these are all different ways that they're trying to communicate what?
Or they're put together.
Where it's put together, their attempt to kind of, again, we talked about this idea of how like things from the locavore movement has influenced retail. Locavores want to know where their food comes from. So we're going to try to appease them as much. Well, if we can say that it's packed in the USA, maybe they'll still buy it because USA is more local than from another country, right? So you got to start paying attention kind of to these terms. How many of y'all would buy the local salsa just based off of the packaging and such? Raise your hand. 1, 2.
For the local?
AJ's. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 local. How many of y'all are like, I would just go with the store brand chunky salsa? Chunky. Anybody in here not like chunky salsa? Bless. Chad likes some more watery stuff. I like chunky. Last but not least, near and dear to my heart. Oh, bless. What's the difference between these two packagings and labels that you noticed? What are some of the key phrases and stuff used?
Very obvious where it comes from.
Very obvious.
And the top of that, I think that's what it is. It said it was made, like, it comes from the US and Brazil on the back of it.
Yep, so the oranges come from US and Brazil, but then, where's it processed? Who's it distributed by? Florida, Bradenton, Florida. So this one is made in Lake Wells, Florida. Bradenton, Florida is only about 60 miles away. Interesting, right? The only difference is this has some oranges from Brazil that are imported. This one is 100% Florida oranges. What else did you notice different?
On the Florida's natural thing, before being in your classes, I wouldn't have known, like, Florida's natural necessarily meant it was from Florida because everyone knows there's oranges in Florida, but maybe that's, like, in my head, I would have thought, oh, it's just another marketing thing. So, like, I didn't even, that really didn't faze me anyways.
Yeah. They both are non-GMO project certified, so they both have it. This is right on the front. They put it more back on the nutrition label. Anything else?
There's no pulp and pulp.
No pulp.
I like that it's farmer in the USA.
So they really highlight that. They put the American flag on it. They say it's farmer owned. So it's interesting. Most people don't know what a co-op is, so they choose to put that farmer owned on there. Anything else? Ah, pure premium. Premium. Which is premium? What makes it premium?
Using the best oranges?
The sugar content of the oranges. So fruit, when you grade any type of fruit, it's based off of the sugar content. It's called the Brix level. And so premium is going to have the higher Brix content, the higher natural sugar content. So those are the oranges that go to juice. If you get jam, it's going to be more of your premium fruit, that type of
So on
thing.
the premium scale, is premium higher than pure premium? Or the other way around?
Is there a difference? Yeah. One thing that nobody's mentioned yet, that this is really the only label out of all of these that has here, Sustainable Forestry Initiative Certified Sourcing. Did anybody pick up on that particular thing? So this is supposed to be a sustainable packaging. I'm not sure how because there's still wax on it on the inside. But are there some people who would choose to buy this product because of how it's packaged in a sustainable way? Absolutely. It's got my friend on it. Any of y'all are like, I like that. I learned about a farmer.
I like that.
Yeah. Which one would you buy based off of the packaging? Would you buy Tropicana? Florida's natural. You aren't going to hurt my feelings.
Florida.
How many would say Florida's natural? Just because of everything it says. Anybody Tropicana? So we got 2 Tropicanas. 11.
Whenever I go to a gas station and get orange juice, I try to remember which one I like better. And so I'll grab it and be like, oh wait, I don't like this one. I'll remember for next time.
Yeah. So now it's going to be interesting to see if y'all's kind of choice just based off of what you read on the packaging matches up with the taste test? What do y'all think? Any guesses? Okay. Let's start with the salsa, since the salsa and the jam were the two closest ties. So with the salsa, our local option was B. We circle B for us. That was A&J's. So overall, y'all said, based off of the test, you'd probably go with A&J's. But then just based off of the labeling and all of that, more of y'all said, meh, I'll go with the retail. Why do you think there's some discrepancy there?
You wouldn't look at that way. You wouldn't even pick up the local one at Walmart.
Yeah.
See the name brand.
See the name brand. Which one's probably going to be more expensive in a retail store?
Local.
The local, by like a good $1 or $2. Yeah. The jam. Our local option is A. So this one, interesting, did kind of a flip-flop with the numbers. Based off of the taste, more people liked that strawberry margarita. But then, when you looked at the labels and just compared it off the labels, kind of said, I'd probably buy the retail one. What do you think? What would be your actual purchasing decision, do you think?
I like how the local ones had like comfort style. So I actually felt like it, not that it was fresher, but like sometimes my samples had sometimes that one was like really crunchy and then the other one really wasn't.
Wasn't.
Like I remember I looked at them and they both had like it looked the exact same.
Hard to find. Okay, which one do y'all want to do next? Pecans. Okay. Did y'all vote for Grandpa Bob or not? He's going to be so sad. He's going to take it personal. Grandpa Bob's pecans were B. So y'all overwhelmingly preferred the local pecans. Why do you think that may be? What was it about that particular pecan compared to the retail pecans?
I like that it was airier.
Airier?
Mouthfeel.
It's like a strong flavor. Like it wasn't really pecan tasting, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I feel like it was a little sweeter.
a little sweeter. Okay. I heard someone say earlier they noticed the size difference. Would you buy, I mean, like, why would size matter when buying nuts?
Cause like whenever like if you cook at home, you know, like I don't know how to bigger ones and like the one in the packaging like from the store, I noticed like a lot of times, even if you get whole, like the whole bag, with them being supposed to be whole, there's still a lot of breakage. Where I don't feel like the like local ones break as easy. So I feel like you get more like whole ones altogether.
Kind of surprised y'all picked the local one too. I've had those in my freezer for a year. So I was like, they might be a little freezer burnt. I guess they turned out fine, so it's good to know. The honey. Let's try out the honey. Grandpa Bob's honey was B. So y'all overwhelmingly preferred, from taste, the local honey. But for packaging purposes, you'd go with the Bear.
I think it's for convenience. I
Convenient.
don't want to have to get my hand all sticky every time I go to get honey.
For real.
And the lid always gets super sticky too.
I know. There are times I cannot get that jar. I'm screwed, right? Why did y'all prefer the taste, though, of the local honey? What was different about the two?
You can taste the sugar in the Bear.
A little bit, I don't want to say artificial, but...
It tasted artificial. Like,
So that's one of the big things. There's a documentary on Netflix. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's kind of about the conspiracy with honey. That there's actually a lot of issues with imported honey and it having water added to it. So it's interesting. That's where they added on a lot of these labels the grade A or 100%, what does it say on it? True source certified, trying to combat that idea of this being kind of tarnished honey, because there was a lot of issues with that. Last but not least, my beloved orange juice. Y'all overwhelmingly preferred Tropicana.
I didn't, I had your back. No, I didn't.
But it's fascinating that when it comes to the labeling and the marketing, y'all overwhelmingly prefer this. But the taste, you're like, this is fine. Why do you think that may be?
I have a question.
Yes.
So like Tropicana, you can buy like the big jugs. Can you do that with Florida's Nut? Like I just haven't
At
seen
Walmart, you can't. If you go to a big Walmart, like the,
Because my family buys the Tropicana, but like we drink it at breakfast, and then my stepdad uses it in his drinks at night.
Mhm.
So
yeah, the big Walmart stores will have it. But why do you think there's such a difference in the taste? Which one do you think y'all are probably more used to drinking out here in Oklahoma? So when y'all tasted this, did this seem more like the orange juice you're used to drinking? Yeah.
Gotta be honest, they kind of tasted the same to me, so I think the,
You fell into peer pressure.
no, I think that would take the last
Oh.
one I drank.
Huh?
See, I've never tried the Florida's Natural before, so I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe just different.
What brand does McDonald's have?
McDonald's is Minute Maid, I believe, because it's Coca-Cola.
McDonald's orange juice, man, I love it.
So they process out of a town called Auburndale. That's in our county as well. So that's the interesting thing about all this is so you have like in our little county, we have this issue with having this co-op that is 100% and committed to being 100% Florida to support Florida farmers. 60 miles away, and there's more juice processing facilities than 3, but then you have Tropicana that's in Bradenton, headquartered there as far as their orange juice, and then Minute Maid is out of Auburndale that's just 30 minutes from Lake Wells. So, and it's a big deal about where people choose to sell their oranges, trust me.
Do you know any, like, in Florida, they're really small, like, really, or just smaller orange juice companies that are, like, really local?
There are. So one, I've never seen it out here, but if you might see the trucks actually on the road a lot, and I've seen some of them on the truck here. They'll look like milk trucks, but on the side they'll say Indian River. So they're from the Vero Beach area, and they're pretty localized. Like they purchase a lot of fresh fruit, and they'll supply sometimes to like again, they'll be kind of that middle person in the supply chain that like they may buy from a packer, or what we call in Florida, instead of packers, we call them citrus growers associations, and like every town has one, and that's where they process fruit. They'll buy from the CGAs, and then they may make it into Indian Grove orange juice, but then sell Indian Grove orange juice to Minute Maid, who then sells to Coca-Cola. So you see the supply chain, again, like it's touching more people's hands. What happens the more hands that things touch in the supply chain? That's what makes prices go up.
So what makes you, like, I know that you like it because it has your friend on the side, but like knowing that they grow next to each other, why do you choose Florida over Tropicana?
They don't leave theirs in the tank as long. And so comparing it to like fresh from a grove, this is closer to fresh from a grove. And how you can tell a little bit, if you tasted it again, this one might seem a little bit grittier. This one's going to be very smooth, and it's because it's been double pasteurized, and then sometimes it sits in a tank for years. And
Years?
y'all do it with wheat. Don't look at me weird.
But I'm just saying, like,
But and so then some of that grit kind of settles, and so it separates. They don't mix it back together for it to be the full.
So how does the juice not go bad, sit for years?
It's refrigerated tanks. They essentially get it to almost a frozen point.
Very curious to see
So one of my favorite things, the first school I worked at, Warner University, we were literally 10 minutes down the road from Florida's Natural. And we had a fruit processing class that I taught. And one of my favorite things to do in the semester is we would spend 2 days with the CEO of Florida's Natural. And we would start in the grove. Always did it when harvesting season started so that we saw everything from harvest to getting it into the tanks and then on the trucks to the grocery store. And it would take us 2 days to go through the whole process as a class. It's really fun. It's cool stuff.
Have you ever had Brahms or Highland orange juice?
Yeah, where do you think it comes from?
I don't know, but I really like it.
Yeah. Isn't that something interesting to think about though? Like Brahms claim of like everything's local and we only sell within a certain area. But then there's some things they sell that you're like, this doesn't come from Oklahoma. So why can they still market it as local?
Being distributed locally.
Being distributed. How do y'all feel about that now? Like kind of taking a closer look at these labels and how people are using these terms. Should we specify more what local is and what should we base local off of, in y'all's opinion?
I kind of think that if people are really concerned about eating local, they need to do their research on what everything means. Like, that's kind of like, that's just me. Like, I've had a roommate that was on the gluten-free kick, and there was something ridiculous, like gluten-free fruit, and I was like, sweetheart, all fruit is gluten-free.
Who knew?
So, like, I think people kind of need to do their research.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting going back to, again, thinking about what our readings have said about why people buy local. A lot of them have said for taste, and we've kind of debunked that. For some things, that may be the case. For some things, it may not be. Others have said they feel like it's supporting their local farmers. We won't go yet to the point of local economy, but local farmers. Orange juice, which one is going to affect local farmers more?
Florida's natural.
Florida's natural, okay. Honey, which one is going to affect local farmers more? The jar. Same thing with the pecans. The salsa and jam, though, we get a little unclear. Which one's going to affect local farmers more? Neither. We have no idea where the ingredients came from for either of those things, do we? What is it supporting locally, though? The producers, the people who made it, the processors, the distributors, right? So a lot of it just has to do with this education piece of knowing the terminology and being more accurate in saying what we mean, right? So maybe you just care about truly, again, what's the word? Stimulating the economy, right? And so you don't care if it's the farmer or the distributor or the processor. You're just like, I want to keep the money here. What does our reading say? Does the money really stay in the local economy? Does it really make it much of a difference? Fortunately, no. Not economically from that standpoint. And I think that's interesting to point out. I saw someone wrote on Facebook today, they were talking something about having some issues with going into Old Navy here. And they were like, I don't want to support them anymore because they're a big store, like nationwide store. But also I realize that they're keeping jobs in our town. So are big corporations always bad? No, because it's providing jobs. It's providing tax revenue, right? So again, it's just kind of that idea of, are we using the right terminology and actually saying what we mean to say? Any other thoughts on local food and locavores since kind of doing this taste test and marketing scheme dissection? What do y'all think?
I think we're more likely to choose local stuff whenever it's directly produced, not mixed together. And that's why there's such a close gap with the jam and salsa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think it's interesting that those are the two that y'all were like, you couldn't really tell a big difference between the two. What else? In general, anybody feel like you're going to pay attention to labels more now? You're not going to be duped, right? Yeah. What was most surprising to you?
How much we hated Florida Georgia.
It really does make me sad. I can tell a distinct difference, like
So
in a
did I get, like,
heartbeat.
bonus points or something?
I like how I said it right in front of you. I was like, oh, this one's definitely better.
It's like,
Clear winner.
sad
I
day.
think it was like the grit. Like I kind of thought it was pulpy, but I guess it's not pulp. I guess it's
Mhm.
grit.
Yeah, it's just that sugar content right there.
I'm not a fan of
See, I
that.
like kind of like the pulpy stuff.
Oh, I buy most pulp. That's what I drink at my house.
There's not a lot, but like just.
No, most. It's got a yellow bar on the top. Most pulp. See it every time. Huh?
You should have brought that, then we would have known.
My favorite. So good. Well,
I'm surprised that I like this store salsa better.
really. Well, what do y'all think would happen now if y'all went around and tasted and knew what things were? Do you feel like there'd be some bias in what you chose?
I think it'd be like a placebo effect or whatever, like in our minds that we would want like the local better.
Yeah.
Question. Were we supposed to write down which one we preferred or which one we thought was local?
What you voted for?
Yes.
Which one you preferred?
Okay, because I knew which ones were local on the salsa and jam just by like looking at it, but taste-wise, I preferred the other ones.
That's it. Why do some people prefer store-bought or like the retail one? What do retail products bring to consumers?
What's your cheaper prices?
What you're used to eating, lower prices,
Consistency.
consistency.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't it like you're not supposed to eat honey if you're pregnant because of the spores? I didn't know if that would like play a role, like
Yeah.
maybe one could potentially be safer because of the testing.
They say not to have it like straight and then not to give it to a baby until they're a year old. But then they say after that it actually helps with allergies if you have local honey. Yeah.
So like with my grandpa, he has his beehives, whatever. But anyway, I just can see.
I'm here.
He has his beehives back at his house, but like my grandma will go and buy like little simple containers that we can pour and not get so messy.
Yep.
Like I guess that could be kind of an idea for producers instead of doing the old time mason jar deal, do the container thing.
Take people out. You can buy those teddy bears anywhere. Huh?
I said Amazon.
Amazon, exactly. You can get anything off of Amazon now. You want to really have a value added product? Get one and then get one of those spoons that looks like a honeycomb. You can charge like an extra $3 for your jar. People will pay it. It's crazy. It's amazing. All right. Well, thank you guys. That's what I got for today. We'll pick back up on Thursday with reading about entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship in ag and some of the other things that have to do with locavores.
So I have